Right, first up and most important in running gear, it's your shoes. This is absolutely critical because it's your shoes that are taking all the impact. So when we are running, the point of contact, where all the action is happening, is where your feet hit the ground, and this is what's absorbing all of that. So your shoes are absolutely important. But what's key is how we run. And how we run and how we hit the floor with our feet is a whole lot of things come into play. It's genetics, it's just habit, it's posture, it's weight. All of these impact how your shoes are going to hit the floor while you're running, and it makes quite an important difference to understand that and to understand foot strike and then the type of shoes you're going to choose. There are three ways in which our feet hit the floor, and it's called pronation. So you don't have to worry too much about the words, but if you go and select shoes, you might want to use these words when you're talking to the shoe salesman. And the first is what's called neutral pronation. And basically what this means is there is the roll of your foot from the outside heel evenly to the ball of your foot across the front of your ball. And 30% of people do this. This is a normal way where you strike with the outside of your foot and you slowly roll across to the front, to the inner edge. That is a neutral runner. Then you get overpronators. So what overpronators do, they strike at the outside, but when they roll, they tend to roll too far across into the inside edge of their foot, and that's called overpronating. Then the last one are underpronators, sometimes called supination, where there is very little roll. They basically hit the outside and hardly roll at all. And that's quite high impact. So those are your three. You're either a neutral runner, which has a natural roll from the outside towards the inside. You overpronate when you overroll into the inside, or you underpronate by hitting the outside edge. Right, how do you discover what you are? There are a couple of ways in which you can do this. One way is you can just go and find a pair of shoes that you had for a long time and just look at how they've worn. Obviously you may have had them for a long time, but they've been sitting in your cupboard. That's not good enough. It's shoes that you've actually walked in, run in, or used in any way. You can start to see if there is a lot of wear on the inside edge. It possibly means that you are overpronating, or if there's a lot of wear on the outside edge, it might be that you are underpronating. But an even easier way is to do what's called the foot stamp test. It's very simple. All you do, wet your foot, find an area, especially a nice dark area, dark tile or something, and after you've wet your foot, place it on the dark tile and then remove it. Now, what you'll notice, there are three options. The one option is what's called a normal arch. A normal arch means you can see the ball of your foot, you can see your heel, and there is a little joining section between your heel and the ball of your foot. That is a normal arch. So you can see there's a space where there's an arch, and there is your heel, a link through to where the ball of your foot. That is a normal arch. It means you are a neutral runner. And that's the first option. The second option is when you look at it, you actually can hardly see any gap between, it looks like one piece between your heel and the ball, the front area. There is no arch because essentially your arch is either collapsed or very flat. And these are people that tend to overpronate. This is overpronation. And so these are the people that are going to require some form of support shoe. Right, and the third option is what's called the high arch. And with the high arch option, there's just a very small little ridge that goes between your heel and the ball of your shoe. And it means you've got a high arch. And what tends to happen with this type of arch is that when you strike the ground, you tend to hit more on the one side, on your outer edge. This is a supination. And again, these are the type of people who potentially are going to require a cushioned shoe. So two categories are your natural runner and your supinator tend to be able to work with a cushioned shoe. It's only the overpronators that often need what are called stability shoes that stops that overroll of your foot. So bottom line is, when you're choosing a shoe, we suggest you go to some shop where people know what they're talking about. So don't go to some random shop. Go to a running shop, and they can look at your shoes. If you've got shoes, they can even get you to run. They may even do the footstep stamp test. But if you've got an idea, you can go in already and say, I'm looking for a cushioned shoe, or I'm looking for a support shoe. So it is a good idea to have some idea of what you're looking for. So bottom line is choosing a shoe that is going to support you and is going to be the right shoe for you. However, key is comfort. absolute comfort. So you may even be a pronator, and you may go to the shop and they say, yes, so you're going to need the special support shoe because it can stop the over rolling of your feet. But at the end of the day, that thing is not comfortable. It doesn't matter. In fact, most people can actually get away, even if you are a pronator, with a neutral or a cushioned shoe. So key is comfort. Choose a shoe that feels good for you, fits, and different makes. Some are a little bit wider, etc. You need to choose one that fits you. So when you get into that shop, you put it on, it must feel comfortable. But firstly, once you've decided which one you want to try on, you need to choose a shoe size that is 1 to even 1.5 or 2 times bigger than your normal shoe size. There's a test you can do which is called the thumb test, the rule of thumb. Pull your foot back in the shoe and then put your thumb. There should be a gap between the front of your toe and the front of the shoe of at least a width of a thumb. Why is this important? Well, when you run, your feet swell because they get hotter. That's the first thing. When you run down hills, you tend to slide a bit and you hit the front of your shoe. We'll talk about this in another part of the series, and you get the great black toenail effect. So it's very important. If you happen to be a size 9, you don't go in and buy a size 9 shoe. You're going to buy a size 10, 10.5. You can even buy a size 11. So it is important. Find the shoe that works for you, but then make sure you get a larger size. Once you've selected your shoe and you're in the shop, put them on and walk around the shop. If you have an opportunity to run up and down a little bit, get a feel for it. If it is a decent running shop, most shops will allow you to take that shoe home and even go on a couple of mile run. Obviously not trail running or through water. If for any reason there is any niggle in that shoe, there is a little rubbing on the one side, take it back. That will not get better. You don't run the shoes in. That is not how running shoes work. If it is not perfectly comfortable, it is not going to be good when you get to 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers and onwards. It's going to be bad. So test the shoe as soon as you can, and if it works on a shortish type of run and you're feeling comfortable and there are no rubbing things, fantastic, you found the right shoe. So it is a little bit of a process, and once you find a brand that works for you, Nikki and I are often on different brands, but it's whatever works. I'm happy to change brands, try something new. Once I've found something, I stick with it for a while. It is important, find something that works for you, and once you found it, stick with it. The last thing is, shoes don't last forever. They obviously last forever if you keep them in your cupboard, but if you're using them, we find the average mileage for a shoe is 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers. So you get 1,000 kilometers, and after that, what tends to happen is they just tend to lose the cushioning. They lose that support that they're giving you, and you may feel a little bit harder on the road. So what you may want to do is you keep your old shoe and you may use them intermittently as they get older, just as a backup pair. But normally for us, at least once a year, we're having to change and getting a new pair. So shoes are key. These are the things that are hitting the floor. These are the things that are going to make you have a comfortable run. At the end of the day, you've got a perfect shoe if you don't even realize you've got them on. They mustn't be going, hey, I'm your shoes, I'm your shoes. You mustn't even know you've got shoes on. When you get to the end of the run or the race or the training, you didn't even think about your shoes. Then you've got the perfect shoe.